54.
Yeah, but it'd be so humiliating for just be so relatively beat by all other cars.
There's some of them that really struggle with that, you know.
It'll get up a hill quickly, but farmer's car has really high ground clearance, and it's amazing how quick it is given how, I mean, it's a riding lawnmower engine, so.
Art, you go over the hill climb every year?
Try to.
I've never been there, always wanted to go there, but I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's call this meeting to order.
Page,
Here.
Walsh,
Here.
Peters,
Here.
Childers,
Here.
Wilkersberger,
Here.
Cummings,
Here.
Brad.
Here. I assume we have no public participation, since there is no public. Consent agenda up front, everybody I assume got their packets. You can see the agenda, along with that were the minutes from the May 13th meeting. And what else is in there? The regular bills. Are there any questions about the minutes? Minutes from last meeting of the bills.
I looked them over, talked to Joe about any questions I had, and make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none?
Walsh,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Childers,
Yes.
Wilkersberger,
Yes.
Cummings,
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Okay, new business. First up is the annual audit, the results of the audit presented by Lauterbach and Damon. We have zooming in.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Thank you.
Great. Awesome. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Courtney Moore. I am one of the audit principals at Lauterbach and Amen, and I'm here to present the April 30th, 2024 audited financial statements for the village. Before I get started, I did want to say a huge thank you to Joe and the rest of the team for all their hard work in getting everything pulled together for the audit. This year specifically, we had your financial statements moved from cash basis to accrual basis. And so there was a lot of additional things that Joe and his team had to pull for us. So thank you so much for all your help with getting all of that pulled together. The purpose of an audit is for us to perform various tests and procedures on your financial statements to ultimately form an opinion. We did give the village an unmodified opinion. It is also known as a clean opinion. It is the highest opinion that we can give. It states that the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects, and we can rely on the internal control environment of the village. Additionally, in our SAS 114 letter, which is our communication to all of you, those charged with governance, we note that we did not have any difficulties or disagreements with management throughout the process. I did want to touch on just a few key financial highlights for the year. If you have a copy of the report in front of you, your financial statements by fund begin on page 12. Specifically, I wanted to mention that your general fund ending balance was about $3 million. So your general fund is the main operating fund of the village, and a majority of the ins and outs within your village do occur within this fund. This was an increase from last year to this year of about $230,000. Your motor fuel tax fund and your community park bond fund did show a decrease in fund balance this year. Your motor fuel tax by about $22,000 and your community park bond fund by about $138,000. Your motor fuel tax fund ended with a fund balance of about $368,000, and your community park bond fund ended with a deficit of about $702,000 this year. In your sewer fund, if you flip a couple of pages, pages 14 and 15 has your statement of net position. Your ending net position in your sewer fund this year was about $2.5 million, and it's consistent of a couple of things. The most of that is consistent of your net investment in capital assets. So these are the assets that you own, less any related accumulated depreciation. So about 1.5 of the 2.5 ending net position in that fund is related to your capital assets. The remaining have specific notations within them. So about $521,000 is considered restricted. $49,000 is debt covenants, and the remaining $479,000 is considered unrestricted and can be used to meet the future needs of your village as you deem fit. Past the financial statements, we have the notes to the financial statements, which really are the meat and bones of your audit report and explain everything and anything you may need to know, including capital asset detail, debt detail, and your various pension plans. The other document that comes out of our audit is something called the management letter. These are any recommendations of policies, procedures, or anything else that may have come up during the audit process that we like to draw your attention to. The first thing that I wanted to mention, which I had already kind of touched on before, your community park bond fund does have a deficit balance of about $702,000. So it is something to kind of consider the ins and outs within that fund to ensure that you're keeping even just a zero ending net position in that fund to ensure your debt is being covered by what is necessary. We also had a couple policy recommendations. So an outstanding check write-off policy, a capital asset policy, and a fund balance policy are all best practice policies that we would recommend that the board take a look into and implement within the next year or so. We do have policy templates. I'm more than happy to send them over to Joe and he can share them with you guys, and you can kind of take a look at them and see if they're necessary for your village and how you want to get those implemented. The last page of the management letter are upcoming GASB standards. So GASB essentially sets the rules for the way your financial statements are supposed to be presented. And we do have a handful of new GASB pronouncements that are coming up to be implemented for your 2025 audit. One of them being GASB statement number 101, and then 102 and 103 will follow in a couple of fiscal years. There's nothing you need to do about this at the moment. This is just our FYI, letting you know that we know that this is coming, and we'll work with the village to get it implemented as required. So with all that being said, I'm happy to answer any questions that any of you may have.
Yeah, I got one. You might have needed to point out everything for other people that haven't looked at this before, but on the checks that are outstanding and never you turn over to the treasurer, that the suggestion in there, turn over to the Illinois treasurer. Are those cashed and just the monetary amount, or you just send a check, or what's involved in the unclaimed fund?
Yeah, so with outstanding checks, anything that is over 3 years is required to be sent over to the Treasury's office based on state statute if they have not been cashed. We typically recommend that you take a look at reaching out to the individual or the organization as much as possible until you truly have exhausted all options before moving that all over as requiring to state statute. So the policy template that we have does kind of outline that, and that's something that you guys can take a look into and just make sure you clear out some of those old outstanding checks that you have.
Would that also apply to any sewer bills, small ones like that, where there might be an overture or anything like that? The same thing?
No, just checks,
Just checks. Now,
checks that the village would have written.
the check itself goes to them, or just the amount and who it's being go to?
The amount would go to the treasury's office.
Okay. And then I had a question, to find the page. On page 37, what is unspent donations? Well, up on your sheet, on my packet here, it's when you got on the, it's in the deferred inflows resource and for liabilities.
Is it physical page 37?
It's on my packet there. I don't know what page it is on yours.
7? Is that what you said? It's
Uh,
7.
That'd be further back than that.
Oh, I see. Unspent donations. This is within your governmental activities. I'll probably have to take a look at it a little bit deeper. It is called out specifically as something that's restricted. I'm gonna guess that this is something sitting on the balance sheet, that though it's within your fund balance, technically, it's not actually liquefied to be able to be spent. So I'll have to take a look into that a little bit deeper, unless you know what that is. I can't say I know the answer off the top of my head.
I believe it's just donations that we took in for the Parks and Recreation activity, but I'll check the amount.
I was just curious about that.
I think it's just a Parks and Recreation fundraiser that we took in.
Okay.
And I have to clarify the exact amounts of it, but that fundraiser in particular has since sunset. We put that into place in 2021, and it's been past the time limit that you put in place for it.
Okay.
Anybody else? Thank you, Eric. Thank you very much. Did you hear?
Oh,
Can you
you
hear
cut
me?
off. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I hope you all have a good evening.
You too, thank you.
Thank you.
This needs to be accepted by motion? Or is it just information?
Most communities just do approve it,
Yeah.
approve the report by motion. If you didn't do it, does that somehow mean it's not the official audit? I don't think so, but I think it's a good healthy approach to.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Ayes and nays works.
Yeah.
Well, does anybody else need to review it a little more and have any questions? I mean, it could be tabled to the next meeting. For that matter, or if you feel comfortable.
I've read enough audit. I don't see any. You know, it gets an unconditional letter.
Okay.
I'm good, I'm good with it.
I mean, we always have things we need to work on, so.
Right, we always have things, and we've got some policy suggestions that are on our list of things to do. And internal controls is what I'm always very concerned about with regard to audits, you know, as long as that's acceptable, but.
So I'll make a motion to approve the annual audit as presented.
I'll second. Any further discussion? Okay.
Okay, Peters,
Yes.
Childers,
Yes.
Wolfersberg,
Yes.
Cummings,
Yes.
Rath,
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
Motion passed 6-0.
All right, next thing is the RFP for the development of the church on Main Street.
This is a draft and I can edit this for you how you see fit, but the intention of this RFP is to see what's out there, basically. We don't really know exactly what we would want out of it, but it's pretty wide. It gives 90 days for people to respond. And just to see what interest there is. I would plan on trying to market this and see who's out there. I've already shown the building to, I would say, about 5 different people at this point. So that's just organic interest. And I've had other various people reach out but haven't come and seen the building yet, but I think we get more. But if you have any suggestions or things you'd like to see different prior to this being published, I can make those changes, but otherwise, long-term recommendation isn't for us to the building. It was nice. Yeah, a nice gesture for us to see if it would work for a municipal building, but we found out that 1.5 million was the minimum cost for renovating the building to make it usable for the village. That was a bit high, and so it would be nice to see what that parcel in particular could be used for by private interest. But this is really for you all to decide if you want to put this out at all or edit it, or what your thoughts are.
Could you, maybe I overlooked it, but I didn't see what the appraisal price was. You might share that with the new board members so they got an idea what we paid for the appraisal. I mean, not, just give an idea what it was appraised for FYI.
150.
I think it was raised in that, did it go 180?
No, one it was sort of
140, I think.
140,
And then what?
to 150.
Okay.
Now, in this, maybe I'm missing it. Yeah, you Matt showed what we're going to do, because the plan is to separate the farmland from the
Yeah.
church, right?
Keep the farmland, right?
And keep it access
So-
to Main Street so we can always access the farm ground. Have that little slip there. Looks like an alley sort of.
Right, easement
yes.
along there.
But yeah, unless you all want to sell the farm ground, that's the way that's been.
That's gonna be my only question, is if you were selling just the property or just the building or property as well.
A little bit of property and the building.
But I think that the property, the FFA currently farms it. You know, they don't farm it, but someone farms for them. And in the future, it could be, you know, if we ever find ourselves flush with cash, it would really be a good place, given it's in the floodplain for retention pond. Or some sort of flood control capital project down there. So for the moment, we're separate, see what we have for this. So I don't have any.
I would like to add one more thing. When the church gave us the building, I mean, the intention was to make a new town hall and all that. They come back with this, like I said, 1.5 million when you got all the ADA stuff. But I hesitate just raising it to make building lots. Number one is if you go ahead, you're looking at, you got 150, let's say it costs you 50,000 to do that. Is somebody going to buy a lot for $100,000 or maybe 2 lots? You know, is it going to be worthwhile to any kind of builder? And probably that it was given to us in goodwill. I hesitate on raising it for another reason, because what kind of sentiment is that going to any remaining church members? So I just wanted to mention that.
Tammy has hooked me up with the family, and I've reached out to them to have the discussion, because they're a little disappointed that it's not going to go to what it was, but they understood what the problem was. But we're going to talk to them about it.
Well, I just want to share that, I
Right.
mean, a little history about
Yep.
And there was no caveat with the donation of the building that it had to be used for.
Nothing in writing,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, it
No,
was just.
nothing in
it.
writing.
Their congregation was pretty well diminished. It was looked at as goodwill, and the intention was to make it, let's move this, you'd have more room and all that, but the estimates, everything just,
Right.
so I just wanted to share it with you, so you knew a little background if you didn't already.
Thank you. I'm in support of the RFP, just see what kind of interest there is out there. So
We need to check that out. We don't have to do anything. I mean, we receive
Doesn't
it,
obligate
look
us.
at it, and yeah, we have no obligation.
Wouldn't hurt it.
So again, in the first full meeting, asking a lot of questions, do I need a motion, just issue an RFP, right? That's-
You go ahead and appreciate it, all that.
1 second.
Any other discussion?
Okay, Childers,
Yes.
Wolfersberg,
Yes.
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Motion passed 6-0.
Okay, next up. Consideration probable or possible approval of engineering agreement with Hartman LLC. Do you wanna
Yes,
dive in here?
basically, we are, we're about 75% of the way through the infrastructure projects, and what we're about ready to embark on after those projects are done is the long-term payback of those projects. And what this gentleman will be able to do is to come in and give us an objective review of our operations and our financial situation with regard to the sewer utility. He specializes in sewer utility assessments and water utility assessments. And so I think prior to starting this, it would be good, we're sometimes whenever you're so deep in a project, you need an outside voice sometimes just to tell you how you want to improve in certain areas. And I think that having this gentleman's very beneficial for us prior to starting off the long-term repayment of these projects.
And Mark has worked with this gentleman. Right, you were.
Number of times.
Number of times, and we've got the name from Mark. This is what this gentleman specializes in, especially on the finance. What we're asking for is a financial side. We're not asking him to come in and say, did they engineer it right? That's not the point of this. It's
He will pay for himself many, many, many times over.
Look for motion, go ahead and
I'm just reading quick. Yes,
make a motion we approve for the engineering agreement with Hartman LLC.
I'll second. Any further discussion?
Wilkerson,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Childers.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Next item of business is sidewalk raising proposals. We have two.
Jackie Slab is the low bidder by a substantial margin. The public works director is on vacation this week, but his recommendation and my recommendation is to approve this and give it to Jackie Slab.
Make a motion to go with Jack Slab.
I'll say. Any discussion?
Cummins.
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Peters, Childers,
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And next up is staff reports, right? Village administrators.
The annual appropriations ordinance public hearing will be June 24th during the regular meeting. And then my report is included. There won't be a public works report of this meeting. But that's all I have. If you have any questions, please let me know.
It's nice to see a date on the wastewater treatment plant,
Right.
August, and sign off.
And that's earlier than expected, right?
Well, I thought we were,
No,
December
it's,
was,
it's, the new one will be online, which doesn't mean the work is done.
Oh.
It's just that it'll be, they're gonna flip the switch, but from the old plant to the new plant basically is the goal. And then they should be off-site by January is the goal for the construction crews. It'll be here before we.
And did you want to discuss anything about your Vegas trip or just too much to be variable?
It was very exhausting, but it was very beneficial, I believe. I believe we're going to have some site visits as a result of that trip. So having the boat graveyard cleared off and being able to show the aerial views of the boat graveyard from dock was much better. And I even showed them the before and after of what they were looking at, and everybody was super impressed with that. And so we got some site visits out of the deal, and having a TIF district in place, we had more to talk about. So I very beneficial.
process. Any other questions on staff report? Mark, do you have anything?
I don't have anything, happy to answer any questions.
Mike?
No.
And we got the staff report for Public Works. I don't have any at this point.
Yes. You want to pass one of those out there, buddy? And this is just thinking outside the box. We've had different complaints about the ball field, which you're gonna have that regardless. It doesn't make a difference. But one of them is the fields, they're not dragging the infields and staff has been doing it, but not to suit everybody else, I guess. So anyway, what I suggested was such a thing is you would just buy our tractor, take the mower deck off. The first page you see is a place to put. We mount a couple of 5-gallon buckets, empty ones, where you can have some claws and pick up any debris around, put it in there. The second picture that you see is just, the way I understand it, the dragging equipment they hand folds up. So it'd be a carrier that they can move around, because wherever they leave whatever ball field, this way it gives them an opportunity to go get it. And then rig up the pitch, just like on picture number 4. And it just gives them the ability. And my suggestion is, you know, we don't have to buy a high-dollar garden tractor. Spend a couple grand, take the mower deck off your deed, and it'd just be something that they could go ahead and they could drag it themselves. Mark would generate some kind of a hold harmless agreement, put it there, and if anybody was running it, and that way that the team would have the opportunity, they go out and drag their fields themselves whenever they want it. I mean, you read different things, they should be dragged between every game and after every use. It's not gonna happen. We couldn't expect staff to do that. And if you had a full-time person out there, they're not gonna be able to do that. So if it suits them, it's fine. If not, it gives them the ability. And that's just,
Sorry, go ahead.
and that's just my suggestion about, you know, where they keep on the north side of where the doors on the second building out there. Already got a key to it. They can get it out, mowing it, have fast check tires, fuel at the end of the week for the weekend, and go on.
Are these the fields near the middle and grade school, or the fields?
No, just the fields out of sports complex.
Okay.
So you said that it's gonna be kept in a building somewhere, it's not just maybe.
Yeah, it'd be out there in between the concession stand. There's that double door on the north end. If you don't have a mower deck or anything to contend with, you could just drive it in there, back it out. You might have to move the picnic table around. Then if they drag a softball field and the drags over there, roll it up, put it on the back. I mean, we could probably create some, you know, but it isn't something that want to spend a bunch of money on it. It doesn't warrant like the garden tractor they have for downtown that we got 20 grand in. No, we're not gonna put something like that in. And it's just a couple grand, see how it works. You know, if it works out fine, that way they can do their own field to suit themselves. But if it doesn't work, then we're not in a whole lot much. It's just a suggestion.
Do we have any other teams that are prepping or mowing their own fields? I know soccer did for a while at Acro Park. They were doing their own. I don't know if they're still doing it. Are there any other that anybody's aware of?
Softball does a certain amount. I think it just depends on. So I think there's a lot of different teams to keep track of, and I think it just depends on who the coach is for the team. Some coaches will go out more extensively than others. But it's not, you know, standard for every one of them to do that on their own. So, but they bring their own equipment. Some of them will bring their own golf cart or whatever and do it. You know, that's what I've heard.
The only issue I have is liability. And as long as you feel like we can come up with some. Waivers are generally not that effective.
Quite honestly, we've got insurance. And I would get the waiver from the insurance company.
As long as there's not a mower deck on it, it's not much you could.
Well, you tell yourself that.
So.
But do you want to involve more? I don't think so. But yeah. So I mean, I would run it through them. We're not the only community that's done this. They'll tell us it's a bad idea, but then let us do it anyway. So I would use their forms, and if you need me to hobble together something, obviously I can do that easily, but.
I think we would need to state something specifically in there that children or teenagers are not allowed to jump on that. And it is only the whoever state owns who it is, and if we find out that that's happening, then it needs to be addressed right away.
Yeah,
So-
and probably I put some sort of signage on the machine itself that
Mhm.
listed that, right?
So,
But-
yeah.
Insurance companies should notice all that information. We can embellish it pretty easily.
That's a good question. Who's doing it now?
I see them drag it. I mean.
Our guys?
I know, well, our guys may, but I've seen coaches drag.
They bring their own stuff over.
I've taken my mower over before.
Our guys try to do it as much as they can, but it gets to a point where they don't do it to they can't do it to the satisfaction of the teams. Like, I think the teams want it, like Art was saying, the teams want it done on a much more regular basis than what we're able to do. It's just not, it's not practical for us to go out every.
Week.
Or
in between
yeah,
games.
It's not practical. They do it on a regular basis, you know what I mean? It's not, but it's just not as often as what everybody would like it to be, but it is done on a regular.
So is this something that somebody needs to contact the teams and talk to them? I mean, I don't know how that works. I don't know. I've never had a kid in that, so I don't know. Can't say how that works.
About what?
Contacting them and asking them if this, I mean, we shouldn't go for this if they say they're not gonna do it, right? I mean, if they say, no, we are not gonna do this, then, I mean, there would be no use in going and purchasing anything.
Yeah, this needs to be implemented. And since it's not on the agenda, we can't like vote on it, right?
Yeah.
No,
So.
you can call yourselves if you favor it.
I would assume that any of the coaches and if they have that equipment available, they're gonna want to use it to better the fields for their players and just make it a nicer venue to play at.
The thought behind, the way I take this idea is, it is a way to, we've given you the equipment you need to do it the way you want it done, and if you choose not to, it's on you. Rather than now, we're the only ones that have the equipment that are able to do it, and if we don't do it as much as they want it done, then we're deficient in some way.
So is the softball,
It's every one of them,
It could be any of the ball fields.
and yeah, there's.
who's using those fields that is giving the complaints, that we could talk with them and see if they would actually use the equipment?
I think every one of them would probably be a good one to get an opinion from. I think we get complaints from all of them.
We could reach out to all of them.
Yeah.
We have a mailing list, or we should.
We're working on a point of contact list. And we haven't got responses from every team. But we're working on having that email list serve basically to where we can put these types of polling questions out and ask.
We were to use some of the money out of that budget for the sports to give to them and they could buy the piece of equipment that take it away from our worry, or are we still liable? If they buy it, are responsible for it, we're not
I
responsible.
just think which team gets to use it.
Well-
We've got various associations that we would,
Well, yeah, I guess I was just thinking baseball and softball together.
I think they don't have the same interest. Is where that my experience has been with them, I don't know if they would, I think that there's concerns about each other, using each other's equipment and stuff like that as it is.
They were always feuding over the lockers and everything else out there. So it's just, this way, it's just a piece of equipment they could use. You take the mower deck out, so there's nothing there. And its side benefit is there's different trash that's around there. Whoever's using it, they could pick it up and throw it there, mechanical fingers, or even our staff could use it. And then run around and get it. And they could pick it up. It wouldn't be like buying a more expensive piece of equipment. If it doesn't work out, you're not out a whole bunch.
Am I hearing that you all want us all to the best of our ability? Say this piece of equipment is available here. Will you use it? I think the hearing again is that the village should be doing it.
Well, then that's fine. Then we won't buy them that. I mean, I don't know what else to say. We keep.
Right. That we're not going to be able to the level of want it done. if this is available, would that be
We'll just provide the equipment
to do?
to it.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's ask,
okay.
at the next meeting.
What if our guys are like that? Notice to me, what are they using?
They bring their own or whatever.
Where Public Works is not doing it,
They're doing it not as frequently as they want done.
right?
They're
What are
doing
they
like
using?
Public Works
What is
using,
Public Works using?
one of their mowers. I- It is, but
Zero turn.
Is this, feel like we don't have someone go out there lately, or?
I think they want it done before every night. Probably.
and in between,
I think.
like, they're not staffing on duty when,
Temporary.
no, and we have,
So they're
part
talking,
of the problem.
you're talking overtime.
right,
You
it's
have people out there after hours.
in short, yes, it is a staffing issue, in short,
Or
yes.
job opportunity for a high school college kid.
Yeah.
The problem is that the Parks and Recreation Fund has an annual operating deficit.
It's $102,000.
Which is,
We just learned.
that's part of the problem is that we have not complex. Sports complex is much different than just a regular set of parks. It's just green space, you mow occasionally and stuff like that. It's something that has much more of a recurring monthly basis. It's much more expensive. And we built that without having a ongoing to cover the long term of it.